All right.
Fucking A.
What I like about it is I get a little bit older. They keep staying the same age.
I was actually thinking the other day, someone literally quoted something at me, like a very famous movie quote. I can't even remember what it was, but they did it so fucking wrong, and it just pissed me off. Like immediately, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, if you're gonna go all that way and try to fucking
Get it right.
pull a good quote out, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you better fucking nail it, dude.
Yeah.
It fucking made me so
I'm
mad.
just not good at it.
Yeah.
No, it's taken me years to get that one right. I think that may be the first time I don't even try to do it because I know I'm just going to screw them
Just
up.
gotta fucking tank
But
it.
I don't watch movies a whole lot.
Yeah.
Never have.
No.
Nah, when do you have time to watch movies?
I don't know. I catch them when I catch them.
Yeah, but that's okay. So that's how I am. Same thing.
Now it's the luxury of your home. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You know?
Yeah, that is true.
It's not bad, but
Yeah.
well, fuck, man. Here we are, book club number 4.
Yeah.
We're talking about Matthew McConaughey's book,
Greenlight,
dude,
Yep.
which he suggested to me. I've seen him on Rogan. I always thought he was a cool fucking dude. I thought there's not 1 ounce of this I'm gonna find interesting, Mr. fucking self-proclaimed cool guy. You know, on paper, you know,
Yeah.
You're just like, I don't need to hear stories of how fucking badass you are or anything like that. But I was pleasantly surprised, and it wasn't that. It did have a bit of bravado on the things that he's done, which is cool. But he didn't do it in an arrogant way at all.
You tell him just telling his life stories,
Right.
Or some of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just that's what I really appreciated about it because I'm not really into a lot of the bios or I've checked out a couple of them, but
Right.
a lot of the times it's the same thing. I don't want to hear somebody just blowing themselves off.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I've ended up finding from this book was there was a lot of little gems in there that really kind of help you see through some things when you got some things going on. So
Right.
it almost was like a self-help book for me when I started listening to it. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely some jams, and when he talks about his early life, I found it pretty surprising and shocking. You know,
Yes.
how wild he grew up. You know what I mean? The story of his parents getting into a fist fight, literally holding knives at each other, throwing each other around, and then making love on the floor in front of the whole entire family. That shit I identify with. You know what I mean? Not that I've ever seen that bad of it, or that part of it. But
and you wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
You know, and listening to him and seeing how he is, or just I mean, we're being very judgmental about it, but like watching him do interviews and watching him do these different things, you're not thinking, oh man, this guy's had some diversity in his life and had some challenges, and and his upbringing, man, had some pretty his dad didn't pull no punches.
No.
He made him work for his shit, but that's how we kind of got into this last podcast, but that's how you build somebody that stays dedicated and focused and works hard and gets to where he's at today is because of his upbringing. You know?
And I mean, just one of the cooler things I thought about was when he talked about, obviously his dad was a menacing figure. He's a big dude. He's like 6'4", fucking 260 pounds. He's a fucking pipeline guy. He's a fucking man, right? He whipped his kids' asses. You know what I mean? They all got their asses whipped for shit, whether it was justified or not or whatever. But the one cool thing that he talked about that I think gets left behind in today's culture is the rite of passage.
Yeah.
Which was a really cool, like he talked about his brother's rite of passage, basically having to fucking fist fight his old man in the barn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that he fucking knocked him out, like made his old man get up and go, now you're a fucking man. And his dad from that day on treated him like a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's something that is, I don't want to get into a whole fucking our culture thing, but it's something that's totally missing from our culture. You know what I mean? The
100%.
rite of passage for men, for boys. You know what I mean?
I preach this all the time.
I know. Yeah.
I really do. I got it through just circumstances that weren't necessarily like, hey man, here's your rite of passage. It was more like, hey homie, come be a part of this rite of passage. It's definitely, I think, something that's totally lacking, and it's why so many youth have so little self-confidence, or they're just not pushed to get out there and do that stuff, man. And listening to his story and all of the different little stories, like the tree house and just
Yeah.
It was just, man, it was fantastic.
It was a good book, man.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I blew through it in like 2 days, which normally takes me about a good week. But I just really couldn't stop listening to it, you know. And the way he did it with the structure of like, it sounds really dumb just saying it until you hear it, but bumper stickers, fucking, you know, passages, you know.
The red light, green light.
The green light call out, which is a cool, you know, on paper it sounds kind of like a little goofy, but when you really hear him
tell the story and then bring up the analogy of like life is full of red lights, man, and every once in a while when you catch that green light,
that's the momentum to keep
you got to
moving.
Appreciate that green light. You know, that green light's there for you to appreciate and not just ignore the fact that you caught that green light, you know. Because those red lights are what we all think about all the time. Shit. You know, and then catching that, you know, I listened to this over a year ago when it first came out. And, you know, I was really going through it with losing Porsche and stuff. And so I went for a ride.
Right.
I rode out to Havasu and spent the day with some friends, and then woke up that next morning and rode out to Vegas and spent the day with some other friends, and then rode home. But the whole ride, I listened to the audiobook.
Right.
And it really just kind of, you know, helps you see things in a different perspective. And you know, that's what I really enjoyed about it. I mean, and there was some just fucking gem stories in there,
totally,
man. That guy is
especially
cool.
when, like, you know, obviously we know him as Matthew McConaughey. We know him as fucking all right.
Yeah.
You know, and his story about how he got involved in that movie, and basically by assuming that character, becoming that person, understanding that it was his big brother, essentially to a T.
Yeah.
He came in at a movie that he was supposed to have literally one scene in.
Yep.
And ended up improving so well on a big movie. Well, it wasn't supposed to be big then, I don't think, but that they just kept putting him in more and more scenes, you know, and you know,
and him and the director became really good friends.
Linklater.
Yeah,
Richard Linklater.
Yeah,
I love that movie. Dazed and Confused is one
awesome.
of the best fucking movies.
It is.
You know,
for people that haven't lived in the time frame of that movie, it was so much what that, you know, certain aspects and times of my life when I was younger that was real.
Totally, dude.
You know, those guys existed.
Those guys absolutely existed.
Yeah. I was in junior high, and there was a guy that was one of my brother's best friend's older brother, and his dad. We're sitting there at the house, and his dad goes, "Hey, I think Jay can fuck you up," and I'm like, "What? What are you fucking talking about?" And of course, this dude's in high school, and he's like, little punk ain't gonna do shit. You know, he didn't say it quite like that, you know, but he had like the feathered hair, and he had the
Good
Toyota
luck,
Celica, and he's all talking shit. But I had already been fighting, so like I lived in Detroit at this moment, so I'd already fought grown men and shit. So I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and him and I ended up going out in the front yard, and he couldn't hit me for nothing, and I hit him a bunch of times, and we got squashed. But he didn't hold a resentment to it.
Right.
It was actually just the opposite. And I got to go hang out with him.
It's that rite of passage.
Oh, my
you know
God,
what I mean?
duit
doesn't have to be a fight. You know what I mean?
It wasn't, but it was... It gave me this cred with him where he took me to these parties and took me out to these things where I'm the little kid or the young dude of the group. I mean, I had a mustache and a beard, but I still the music was Billy Squier and that shit.
Yeah,
and just, it was that movie, man.
Right.
Just going to house parties and going and hanging out. And man, I'll never forget it, man. That was some cool.
Yeah.
That movie brought that
a lot
back.
to that time frame, you know, and his ability to, you know, he talks about it a lot. His ability to basically just get into a character, assume character, and then he says it a billion times. Like the movies he did the best in were the movies he was just able to get out lines and say the thing he was supposed to do, you know. And then he talks about stories where that fucking mentality completely bit him in the ass.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And he shows up to a movie, decides he's just going to assume this character, and looks at his sides, and it's 4 pages of dialogue in Spanish, and he goes, "Fuck," you know what I mean? And you're oh, dude.
Yeah,
you know. So that arrogance bites you in the ass, you know. But what he was really good at was, especially when he talks about the wet dreams, you know, he had these multiple like dreams in his life where he calls them wet dreams, where he would be like in his mind, it was in the fucking Amazon River looking at tribesmen on the shore, wrestling snakes, shit like that, and every time in his life, the importance of that dream would spawn him to go, I need to reset, I need to rethink, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. And he would go to Africa, or he'd go to the fucking Amazon, and the stories of him going to African tribes and then wrestling the fucking champion wrestler, you know what I mean? Is like that. It's just wild to think of Matthew Mcconaughey, which it is a movie. You know what I mean?
It really. I'm really glad we're doing this review, and I hope that people that listen to this take heart and either read the book, or I highly recommend the audio version because he reads it himself.
Right.
But it is absolutely fascinating.
It is,
and that whole dream series, the Wet Dream series, and it's a couple of different stories that come from it, and the different little things that lead up to it, the battles that he was dealing with, and the things that he was going through that led him to, let me think about this a little bit more.
Right.
You know, it's really inspiring and just fun to read, fun to listen to, man. I mean, all the other, stuff aside, how inspiring or whatever it was, it's also just really, really, really good stories.
Yeah, it is. And just his, like I said, what I even like the later stuff when he talks about marrying his wife and they had multiple kids, which is really weird because they have a kid that was born almost the same fucking month and almost the same and the year that Scout was born. They also got married almost the same month and almost the same year that me and Rosie got married. So it was really odd, and we also had kids before. Yeah. And when he talks about the marriage thing, how they didn't get married till years later till the kid asked them. It hit so like home for me because it was the exact same way I thought about marriage. As far as it's a state fucking piece of paper. Yeah. It's not this. Yeah. We're already together. We're doing the thing. And the way that he broke it down and through talking to one of his pastors, as a challenge to jump ahead and take that adventure of marriage and being happy and realizing that you're not losing. Because I did have the same fears. I'm losing half of myself when I get married. That's, I think, what a lot of men think, and that today, actually, I wrapped it up and I listened to it. And it really hit home for me because I remember being in that same place, the same fucking year he was in, although he's many years older than me, thinking the exact same fucking thing. And I went ahead with it and I did it, and I'm not regretful, obviously, at all about being married. But it was that one point where you just think, like, if I say yes to this and if I do this, I'm half of me is gone. You know what I mean? And it was a really cool perspective to hear it from another person that he framed it in such a good way that, if you're with the person that you think you want to be with, or you fucking at that time know you want to be with, it is that marriage commitment to that is a cool thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really, it was a cool, it was really fucking cool to hear that. Cause marriage is fucking hard, dude. Struggling left and right. It's like,
and it's hard for everybody. It doesn't matter.
It really is,
you can see whatever on the surface and what it looks like on the surface, but it doesn't matter. It's always a constant work. And it's pretty easy nowadays to just kind of go, I'll just go hit grinder.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, more fish in the sea or whatever.
I downloaded the app. I just haven't opened it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm right there, dude.
Don't worry. I already put you on it. Yeah. You're my face for that.
I've been getting a lot of weird messages lately, dude. A lot from weirdo Christians, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been getting a little odd on Facebook.
Yeah.
It was such a cool thing. And he's got a lot of great perspective. And then the fact that, he talks about him being the rom-com dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? For years, and deciding to not want to be that. It wasn't challenging. He didn't like where it was going, and refusing literally $15 million offers and not working for almost 2 solid years. And then that opportunity comes up to where he gets this new role. You know what I mean? And then gets to do a bunch of fucking killer movies after that. Like the ability and the foresight for someone to understand where they are at a moment in time is a unique ability, dude. Because most of us are just head down, running, and you look up 20 years later and you go, what the fuck,
Yep.
But the opportunity and the foresight, which is what I thought was very like cool for him to sit back and go, fuck, is this even what I like doing? And yes, he has a shitload of money. He's doing just fine. He has a financial gains to sit back and think about this at the beach. Why he fucking doesn't have to worry about bills, but he's still a human, right?
And when he did it, he didn't. It's not like he hopped on a plane and went to Versailles and hung out.
Right.
You know what I mean? He jumped in a van,
and
lived
just in it for 3 years.
Lived in a van for 3 years and just traveled the United States with his dog.
Yeah.
And just lived.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's how you build stories. That's like, hearing him tell that story made me go like, well, shit, man. I really want to see more of America. I want to do all this traveling, and I'm going to New Orleans in a couple weeks, but I want to do more. Like hearing that stuff and hearing, and actually there's a few things that have made me really get inspired to want to travel the United States and, spend more money here and not maybe go outside of the country as much as, I've thought about.
Right.
But there's a lot of places here I want to see. And him talking about just living out that van and, pulling into a campground in the middle of the night and walking in at some crazy bar. Like, how cool is that?
Or him getting a job in a fucking black blues bar in Austin. You know what I mean? Like being the only white dude as a waiter.
Yeah.
Working in a black blues bar. It was a cool story, man. And we review books we like. So that's one thing that we probably should put out there.
Yeah.
We're not going to rate books. We are reviewing books that we like, things that turn us on that we think you guys would enjoy. So if you don't hear a review about it, it's probably because we fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Or, because there's enough negativity in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
I have no interest in talking about something I'm not happy about.
For what we're doing with these, we're reviewing books that we really enjoyed. We're always going to say we enjoyed them.
Yeah.
We're always going to say check them out. But definitely Matthew McConaughey's Greenlight is awesome.
Phenomenal.
A great book, man.
Yep.
All right. If you guys like this shit, hit that notifications bell on YouTube and 1091 Scandia Avenue at the Garage Bar. Check that out if you're ever in Ventura. And thank you, Matthew McConaughey, for some fucking incredible, iconic moments.
Yeah. Yes. Really appreciate
From Naked
it.
Bongos to All Right.
Yeah.
To everything else.
All of it, man. It's really, as much as it's a biography, it's also really inspirational, motivational, inspiring, and it's not just about somebody telling their life story.
Right.
He really, really, really gives you a lot of just sweet little bullet points to help you get through life, man. And I loved it.
Yeah. All right. We're out.
Peace.